The Jeffrey Epstein scandal isn't just breaking MAGA voters away from Donald Trump, but also his loudest MAGA mouthpieces, not just in the media, but in Congress as well, which is what we just saw from Marjorie Taylor Greene, not just furious with Donald Trump over Jeffrey Epstein, but all of his failures, lies, and betrayals. And her statement on it wasn't just shocking to me, but hilarious to Jasmine Crockett, who I spoke to in an interview that we're going to check out about Marjorie Taylor Greene. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into my conversation with Jasmine Crockett, in which we had some fun mocking Marjorie Taylor Greene's latest move, I want to start with the context of why Marjorie's so upset, and we get some of that from Jessica Tarlov right here.
But I will say, Harry Enton, he said that, and it included Loathe, I believe. But he also said, was Trump wearing a Banana Republic suit on Friday? Because firing the BLS head because you don't like the jobs number is the worst of Donald Trump. It's the conspiracy theory-laden part of Trump a la the 2020 election. And I would argue that Trump's most lasting impact, or his biggest influence, has been on Americans' ability to actually know what is true and what is honest. And that starts with the big lie of 2020, with nearly 6 in 10 Republicans.
I thought you were going to say the big lie of 2016.
No,
the
it's a nice try. I know you guys are trying to rehab this. It's not going to work.
You're rehabbed something from 4 years ago.
Nearly 60% of Republicans think that Joe Biden wasn't legitimately elected to be president, and then Donald Trump is actually in the midst of what would be his third term. When you get a Bureau of Labor report, which was all well and good 2 months ago when you did like the number, and then you fire that person, that's authoritarian stuff. And that tells people that you can't trust the numbers. You can't trust anyone who works in government. He threatens news outlets for coverage he doesn't like. Look what CBS just has to do, the assault on academic freedom.
It should come as no surprise to anyone at all that Donald Trump has lied about making life in America more affordable, that Donald Trump has lied about the jobs that he would bring back, the investments he would make in manufacturing. Of course it didn't happen. Did you watch or remember his first administration? This is no shock that Donald Trump has spent his entire presidency so far doubling his net worth, stealing billions of dollars from our government for his billionaire buddies, and just making life for average Americans much worse after he promised the opposite. And one of the biggest promises he broke recently, the big one that is leading Marjorie Taylor Greene to flip on Donald Trump, starts with what he had to say right here on Fox.
And I said, explain IVF very quickly. And within about 2 minutes, I understood it. I said, no, we're totally in favor of IVF. I came out with a statement within an hour, a really powerful statement with some experts, really powerful. And we went totally in favor. The Republican Party, the whole party, Alabama legislature, a day later overturned, meaning approved it, overturned, the judge essentially approved it. And we really are the party for IVF. We want fertilization, and it's all the way. And the Democrats tried to attack us on it. And
now we are seeing reporting that the White House has no plan to mandate IVF care despite the campaign pledge. So Donald Trump, who promised to be pro-woman and pro-birth and pro-family, is pulling back. But that should be a surprise to no one, unless you're stupid. Which is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is surprised. And yeah, she's lashing out at Donald Trump, which is exactly what I spoke with Jasmine Crockett about. Marjorie Taylor Greene goes rogue in MAGA Trump breakup.
Congresswoman, I'm bringing you right now a quote from someone we detest.
Okay.
It's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
And she's having a bad day, saying, I don't know if the Republican Party is leaving me, or if I'm kind of not relating to the Republican Party as much anymore. I just don't care anymore. Should she just can she just wrap it up? Can she just leave? If she doesn't like it, we don't like her either. This seems like it's all going to work out. She's unhappy, we're unhappy. There seems like a solution here.
Yes and no. I mean, I need her to implode while she's still within the party, because I need her to take a few other people out with her. Because, I did see some reporting on her talking about it just doesn't seem like it's the party for women. And I'm like, well, duh.
When was it the party?
It wasn't. Listen, only if you're trying to stay in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant are they for the women.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're not about to be a baby and incubator, then you have no worth to them. So no, they are not that party. They have not looked out for women in any respect, whether we're talking about, the fact that we couldn't even get Republicans to sign on to simple things such as the Equal Rights Amendment, making sure that there is some equity whatsoever, because we know that there's been a pay disparity when it comes to women in this country. And so just thinking about like all the policies that they've pushed for, they've never pushed for anything that was for women empowerment. They tried to pretend as if going after trans folk would somehow give them more women bona fides, but it was all a joke and a game. They have never looked out for women. And, frankly, this party is the party of Trump at this point.
Yes.
The Republicans have lost their way. They have decided that they would just go ahead and crowd in with the MAGA cult. And the cult leader has decided that he wants to lead his people to nothing more than destruction for the vast majority of them. That is why we see the videos over and over and over of people having these awakenings. And I'm like,
what took you so long?
That part.
Is it fell for it again?
That part.
Well, we can't say that Trump is not for women at all. He's promised IVF. Oh wait, no, we're not doing that.
We're
actually not doing that. And you're talking about these awakenings. It's crazy to me that these people who have the conspiracies that they've come up with, a lot of times they're not conspiracies. We look at Jeffrey Epstein. It's not a conspiracy. This is a real disgusting criminal who is best friends with Donald Trump. And at the same time as they're thinking up these images of a wealthy cabal of billionaires hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, which they did, it was called Donald Trump and his friends, tax cut for the rich.
Yeah.
I don't know how these things don't come together. But when we're talking about the Jeffrey Epstein issue, I feel like a lot of the times when we've communicated about it, we want to pivot to something. I understand saying that was a betrayal. He's betrayed you on affordability. But how can we show Democrats as the best communicator in the party? How can you show your colleagues you can just speak on this with raw emotion and translate that, like, you don't need to bring something else into this. Let's just talk about it on its own.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think that we have so many real people that are on our side.
Yep.
And so, I remember watching the it felt like testimony. But I remember watching video footage of Ayanna Pressley being very vulnerable and raw and transparent about her own experiences as she was victimized, and about the pain that she still feels as a survivor. And so I think that it's that. I think it's understanding that the real people that can connect to the real hurt and harm that some of these monsters have committed upon us, whether it is doing things like taking food away from people that need it the most, or taking healthcare away from people that need it the most, or allowing for monsters such as Epstein to continue to roam, or doing favors potentially for his co-defendant and co-conspirator in this. I think telling our very real stories and showing the people that this isn't politics. No. This is about the morality of who we are going to be, and we possess real moral compasses. I think just being as authentic as possible, I think that's the way to do it.
I think you've made that clear. Everything you do, how you fight, and I could not appreciate it more. Yeah. Thank you so much, Congresswoman.
It's good to see you.
You as well.
Now, of course, Congresswoman Crockett and I are always going to have a good time when we're laughing about how upset Marjorie Taylor Greene is, but there is also very important work that we just see, not just Congresswoman Crockett, but other Texas Democrats fighting right now. And that is the gerrymandering taking place in their state because of Greg Abbott, because of Donald Trump. And Congresswoman Crockett talked more about that in a clip I want to take a look at right here.
Governor Abbott just announced that he has ordered the Texas Department of Public Safety to find and arrest the House Democrats who have fled the state. You're in the Chicago area with some of those Democratic representatives. What's the plan with them? Obviously, at some point, you have to return to the state of Texas eventually. So ultimately, does it seem that it's a foregone conclusion that this bill will pass?
I don't say ultimately. I never say ultimately because I don't have a give up attitude whatsoever. But right now, the governor has decided that he wants to waste more of Texans' resources by deciding that he's going to send out the troopers. And listen, I don't even think that he's going to do that. I think he's just talking. Earlier today, I posted a copy of the warrant that was signed by the speaker, because it's the Speaker of the House that can put the call on the House, not the governor. And no one came to get me last time. In fact, it is a cute little warrant that has a cute little frame on it. And so they like to talk a big game, but the reality is that, number one, you have a lot of intelligent attorneys that actually serve in the Texas House. And so they know that there's nothing that he can do outside of the Texas jurisdiction to bring them in. This is one of the reasons they are in another state. His authority does not extend throughout the entirety of the United States. So he's just talking the big talk so that, he can rile up his base. Ultimately, what will happen, we don't know. I know that we've been in litigation since 2021 over the current maps. I am one of the plaintiffs in that case, and I do know that the state the entire time has taken the position that they issued maps that were race neutral. And then all of a sudden, once they got a letter from the DOJ that talked about race, they somehow flipped the script and they decided that they wanted to do new maps, seemingly at their prompting. So now they're kind of dancing around their position, and now it seems like they're going to flip positions.
This redistricting battle is the first step in what should be many of Democrats changing our attitude around power, something that we need to cultivate rather than something we're worried about wielding. I spoke with Beto O'Rourke about this, and he spoke about power in a way that I haven't heard Democrats do so really at all in the past. That this is the only concern of Republicans, and when they get it to try to keep it. They gerrymander states. They strip you of your voting rights. They make sure it's more difficult to access democracy. When Democrats get power, we need to make sure we keep it by making big structural changes to our government that not just make democracy as the abstract concept more easy to access, but show people how government actually works when we make it work, when we force it to work, when we do not take no for an answer, when we take yes for an answer, when we don't let a Senate parliamentarian hold up making sure we can pass a living minimum wage across the country, that we can make big, bold, progressive changes to our government and not worry about the norms that we're breaking. Donald Trump doesn't worry about the norms he breaks. Donald Trump doesn't worry about the laws he breaks. How about we take, I don't want to say a page out of his book, but if it means making sure that people can have their basic needs met, yeah, I think they're going to be okay if we do government a little different. And that is what this fight, this gerrymandering fight, is all about right now. That's why I'm glad that we have a Jasmine Crockett. That is why I'm glad we have a James Tallarico. That is why I'm glad we have a Gavin Newsom leading this fight, saying let's do governance differently. And I promise we're going to be talking about that on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.